The Toronto Maple Leafs make a huge decision today by locking up Jake McCabe on a 5-year extension. This is going to have some major implications on the Leafs going forward and in the future. Plus, the Leafs make a huge shakeup to their power play lines, and we're going to break it all down for you guys coming up on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. And as of right now, 87% of you guys watching aren't subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribed and you want to stay up to date on the latest NHL news, make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. But Nick, we gotta jump right into this power play shakeup here. The Leafs are making huge changes today, where since they've had a slow start to the season on the power play, ranking 29th in the league. Yes, that is not Photoshop. That is real. They have a 10% power play percentage right now, putting them 29th in the league, just above the Capitals, Ducks, and Sabres. And when you have such star-studded talent on your roster, you should be nowhere near the bottom of the league in regards to power play. And the shakeups that they did make today, they have now have Riley on that power play 1 unit, quarterbacking that power play with Marner, Matthews, Pacioretty, and the list goes on here. But Nick, looking at these new lines, what is your initial reaction to this?
Yeah, obviously coming into the season, they started with Riley on the power play 1, and we were hoping under Mark Savard, the new addition to the new power play coach, all these different things, that the power play would improve a little bit over last season. At points during last season, it was very good. They have all the talent in the world to be good. They're supposed to be one of the better power plays in the NHL, but we see now, after the initial little bit over the first couple of games, they put OEL on power play 1, and now 10 games into the season, well, this will be the 10th game, they're switching back. And whether that's a matchup thing, whether they just like the look of this power play more on OEL in the second line, I'm a big advocate of OEL being on the first line, especially when you're going up against a very good team and the best goalie in the NHL tonight in Connor Hellebuyck. So I don't know if I agree with it. It's very interesting, but I probably wouldn't have at least shaken up the OEL and Morgan Riley part.
Yeah, when you got the best goal scorer in the league in Austin Matthews, your power play percentage should be higher because that's the best chance he's going to get to put one in the back of the net when the other team is a man down. So, like, I agree with you here. I don't agree with this change, and a lot of fans on Twitter had this same reaction, and one fan actually put his dream lines for the power play here, which I really like. He has OEL playing the power play 1 with Nylander, Matthews, Domi, and Nas all on that power play 1 unit, and I really like this change from him here. I think having Nylander, who is also a great goal scorer, but can pass the puck around with ease as well, with a guy like Nas, who's going to park his butt in front of the net and just try to screen the goalie at all these opportunities, would be the best scenario for this Leafs power play unit. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it a lot. And obviously, Matthew Nyes has been off to a very hot start this season. Getting Nylander on there, you're not moving Marner. He'll be on the power play too. I think the biggest thing here is OEL on the top power play for me. I think that's something they need to stick with. You saw he's probably the best puck moving defenseman that we've seen in a very long time, alongside Morgan Riley, of course. But I think keeping him on power play 1 helps use his abilities. And he's a guy that's been off to a very good start. He has a goal. He's been playing really well. You look at the impact charts after each game. He's been a guy who's been shining so far this season. And I don't know if, again, we'll have to see if it happens in subsequent games. They play a lot this week, so maybe it's just a matchup they like for whatever reason with Connor Hellebuyck in front of the net. They want to change things up or get Morgan Riley back in there and continue to swap things that way. But yeah, I prefer those lines as well. I'm just not a huge fan of the OEL and Morgan Riley swap this early in the season, even though they already did. And I was clamoring for it to get OEL to start the season on the top power play. I think Riley fits better in the second one. So it's a big change. We're going to see how it does tonight. And I mean, they could have a great power play game, and that could change a lot of fans' minds out there. So ultimately, it's going to see how they perform tonight. But to Craig Brubase's credit, the power play with Morgan Riley in the top pairing or not has been performing horribly. So you can't really go wrong in making any changes at this point. They're the worst in the NHL.
Yeah, and the big reason for them bringing in OEL was to help this power play. So now moving him down to the power play 2 just doesn't make sense at all for the Toronto Maple Leafs. So maybe, they're seeing something that we're not, and they'll go off and go like 4 for 4 on the power play tonight, and we'll just, sit back here and be like, okay, maybe this was a good change. But I definitely do see OEL being the better fit. He is more of the OFD than Morgan Riley is, and he's known for quarterbacking power plays his whole career. So it just doesn't make sense to me. Want to hear your guys' thoughts on it down below in the comment section as well. We got to jump into the big news today, Nick, which is the Leafs lock up Jake McCabe. Yes, this is something that we talked about before the season even started when we were kind of discussing the Leafs UFAs. Who are they going to bring back? And are a lot of these guys going to be traded at the deadline? There was a 50-50 debate saying, yeah, we need to keep McCabe. Yeah, we need to trade him. But now they lock him up over 5 years. Per Chris Johnston here on Twitter, he signed a 5-year extension carrying a $4.51 million AAV, and as the day went on, we found out that the Leafs will be deferring money on this contract. The first time they are doing this in the history of the franchise, whereas cap hit was supposed to be 4.71 over 5 years, but now with this deferring money situation, he will be at 4.5 million AAV, which to me, Nick, is a very, very team-friendly contract for Jake McCabe, a guy who's going to go out there, be a warrior on the blue line by blocking the shots, by laying the hits. He's the perfect style defenseman for the playoffs, and I mean, he's going to be signed till he's 36, so maybe we will see him on LTIR at some point, but I really do like this signing by Brad Living and the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, it's a good price for a second pairing defenseman. And coming into the year, we know they've been having conversations, Treliving and McCabe's camp. A lot of predictions out there were 5 years by $5 million. And I think if the Leafs were to have let him go into free agency, let him test the market, some team out there, maybe multiple, would have given him 5 years at $5 million or more. So for them to get him at after the deferred money, what goes and equals out to about $4.5 million over 5 years, it's going to be very good. Now, the only concern is in 3 years from now, you have Jake McCabe would be approaching 35. You have Chris Tanev, who will be aging, and OEL. So their win now mode is right now. They have a couple years. Maybe they'll send him alongside a couple others to Robidas Island. That's very possible. But for now, it's a very good deal. It doesn't hit the cap too much. And as the cap continues to increase over the next handful of seasons, this contract is only going to look better and better as other defensemen, as they hit free agency next year, the year beyond. I mean, it's a half decade they have him for. It's going to be even better, and it's going to age really, really well, I think, over the next couple of years, at least from the monetary point of view. Now, the player himself, very good this year, had a very good start to the year, and he's been great for the Leafs for a while, but in 4 years, it might be a little bit different.
But one thing we know for sure is that Chef Brad is cooking again by making signings happen that people thought were impossible. It's just crazy the moves he's made this offseason and the moves and the signings and stuff he continues to make into this season. Obviously, we still have a lot of signings and stuff to go through this season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. A lot of extensions on the book, but a big one out of the way here in Jake McCabe. And like you kind of alluded to, he started the season very hot for this Toronto Maple Leafs team, having 3 assists, 10 hits, 10 blocks through the first 4 games for the Toronto Maple Leafs this season. And that's what you're going to get in a guy like Jake McCabe, a guy who's just going to go to battle for you every night. And as you see here from J Fresh Hockey, he does have a projected WAR of 84%, and seeing his EV offense percentile higher than his EV defense is really shocking to me, because when I think of Jake McCabe, I think of a guy who's just going to come and lay out along the boards, because that's the style of defenseman he is. But, you know, we have seen him score overtime winners in a Leafs jersey, so maybe having this guy that can score and get points on you know, every now and then, and can also pick it up defensively, is definitely going to help this team, especially in a long 7-game playoff series where you have guys like Tanev, McCabe, so many of these guys that are just going to brutalize opponents. They're going to be leaving with ice packs on, and they're just going to make it tough on their opponents this year. And I really do like what Brad Living has done by bringing so many defensive defensemen in here. But you know, Nick, what do you think, you know, your final thoughts are on this, and what do you think the Leafs need to do next?
Yeah, it looks very, very good. Also, Yanni Hakanpää is another guy, speaking of big defenseman, that is nearing a return at some point soon, but very good contract. He was able to pull it off again. The OEL contract has looked great so far, and every signing he's made has contributed. Even though the Leafs aren't off to the hottest start, it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with a lot of their players. Jan Krok, Connor Dewar, Yanni Hakanpää, all those guys are going to have to, are probably going to make a return. And November 1st is the date that they have until they have to start making moves in order for that to happen. So there's going to be a lot of news going, but think they have they're in a very good spot, but a huge game tonight against the Jets.
Yeah, I think it's better to kind of see them have a slow start because we're always so used to seeing the Leafs being so dominant in the regular season. So maybe if they have a slow start, maybe they struggle a little bit in the regular season, will help towards that playoff success. At least that's what Leafs fans are hoping for. But we want to hear guys' thoughts on the Jake McCabe contract and the power play situation down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be pumping out all this NHL content for you guys. So that interests you and you want to come back, stick around, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But as always, I've been your host, KC, alongside my co-host, Nick Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.